What's up? So, we got a local interview today going with one of the coolest team leaders in the game, Serri Rowell. She's actually like down the street from me. We're about 15-20 minutes away. So we're going to get right into this. And one thing I gotta say is that, well, I don't want to spoil it, but we'll start talking to her about her golf game because I'm pretty sure she's a pro. Good to see ya. Yo, dude. Siri, how you
I
doing?
made it. Hi.
Yes. Success. How you been?
Good. How are you?
Doing really well. Looking forward to catching up with you.
You too.
Uh,
First of all, can I just tell you that I love your background and I know you made it. And your kids helped you, right?
yes, a little bit. It was definitely a team effort between, family, friends, and all that. And this has been like a 2 year work in progress. I pretty much just had like a blank wall and a fig tree for the longest time.
I love it. I was obsessed with that video you did on it.
Yeah. So where are you at right now? Are you in the office or are you home? It's been pouring out here.
Okay. No, I'm home. I was actually downtown today, and I don't know if anybody's been
Dang.
downtown. It was pouring. I had to cross the street and I got soaked all the way up to my waist. It was just atrocious. So I'm home right now, very
Yeah,
comfortably.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you ventured out. Us San Diegans don't really do too well with a little bit of drizzle, but you're not you're sort of a hybrid. You're used to some of the harsh conditions, which we'll
Yes.
get into.
Yes.
But
Yes.
this is nothing new for you. In fact, because it was pouring rain, and I even thought of you for this one. Have you heard? Because I know you're on TikTok. You haven't been on there in a long time. But have you heard this song or this sound?
Hey Siri,
Can
what's
you
the
hear this?
weather look like? It looks like you're gonna need an umbrella. It's a little bit drippy.
Have you heard this one?
No.
Okay. We're definitely gonna have to make a video on it. It's got your
I
name. It's about pouring rain and drippy. It's too
okay, all
perfect.
right, let's do it. I know all things around my name. Yes.
All right. So I've got a handful of topics here I want to get into. Some of it might be a surprise. Some of it might be what we've touched on before.
Okay.
This first one's pretty easy, but it made me think about it actually because you were recently on the cover of Top Producers, which by the way, congrats! I loved it. It looked awesome,
Thank
and
you.
and you were all in the golf get up. And I know
Yes.
I know your son, one of five boys, which we'll talk about as well. That's a whole nother topic.
Yeah.
But he's pretty much I think like on the verge of becoming a pro golfer. But for you, how good is your golf game? How good is your golf swing?
It's not that good. You know what's
No.
funny? I'm kind of one of those where like first time trying something, I can usually do pretty well. But then after that, the truth comes out. But what's
Yes.
funny is I looked at that photo and I'm like, if anybody knows golf, uh, I had a driver on the putting range. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Actually, yeah. No, I didn't even think about that, but that's true.
No, I mean, I go out and I watch them a lot. I've swung it a few times. They actually have over at Del Mar a simulator that I think is fun because you can kind of play games with it and drive the ball. I'm definitely I don't know
I
what I'm
just
doing.
I just went to a brewery that has a simulator. I think this is out even closer to you. It was in San Marcos, maybe more like Carlsbad, but that was my first time on it playing
Yeah, it makes it
playing
more
playing in
fun.
metaverse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and here's the thing, like I'm sure you'll get into this. I travel a lot with Dane, with his golf, and so we travel a lot. And I tell people as much as I love watching him play, which I do, it's still golf, right? So it's
Right.
kind of slow. I love looking at all the houses on the golf courses. I'm
You're all
like,
checking them
wow,
out
look
on
at all
there.
these houses. These are great.
Yeah, I'm sure that's one of the benefits of getting to cruise around out there
Yeah, I
actually
get to
on the
see
real
all the pretty
course.
homes on the golf courses.
Nice. Well, maybe that's a good transition into how obviously your background from Park City, but
Yeah.
like tell me, and I don't think we actually got into this, but like how did that journey end up going into real estate? Because, one of the topics I'll even warn you again on is like, you know, to me, I think being a women leader in the industry is rare as it is, as successful as you are and on the trajectory that you're on. I think that's even that much more impressive. And so, can you rewind the clock for a second and kind of go back to how you even got to that place?
Got into real estate? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if we go all the way back to Park City, I mean, I didn't think anything of real estate in Park City, but I did I mean, this is something important, I think, to share, is that I was pregnant at 18. So I had my first child when I was
Wow.
19,
Wow.
second when I was 21, third when I was 23. So you can kind of like see how crazy I was with all that.
Yeah.
But I was, you know, a stay-at-home mom that was still going to college while I had all those kids, going to college. I also worked some little weird jobs. Like I was a mystery shopper because like for McDonald's, because I could go and like drive through and get my kids Happy Meals and make $50 at the same time. So it kind of gives you like an inside look. Like I just can't sit still, right? I
Uh-huh.
can't sit still. And so I was probably, I don't know, maybe 25-ish. And I just was kind of getting wiggly. I mean, I don't say that I don't enjoy the days with my boys like that, but, and I don't know if you brought up like 5 boys, right? Total boy mom here.
Yes. Yes.
So um, I enjoy all those days. They're some of my best memories, but man, I was like, there's more to me. Like I got to get out and
Yeah.
do something.
Yeah.
So I ended up getting into actually the lending field, just kind of via. We lived on base at the time. My husband was a corpsman for the Navy, but we were on base with the Marines. And a
What
friend of
year was
mine.
this?
This was what year?
Yeah.
This was 2001. So
Okay.
about 20 years ago. Yeah. And anyways, so one of his buddies' girlfriends was saying, hey, you know, I'm looking for an assistant. And so would you like to come do it? And it was for Bank of America down in La Costa. And I was like, yeah, sure. Like this would be great because I can get out of the house sometimes, you know, I can still be with my kids. Okay, this is funny because like fax machines are like who uses fax machines, right? But I remember I walked in and I was like, I don't even know how to use a fax machine. I don't know what I'm doing, you know, but hey, I'm out of the house a little bit and I'll make it work. And I remember they had me on the phones making calls, right? And I'm this just kind of like fairly shy, like stay at home mom, you know, not knowing what to do. And after the phone calls, they were like, you are way too nice. You're just too nice. You need to be
Yeah.
mean. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, I gotta be mean. I
Do you
gotta be mean
realize
on the
what
phone.
industry you got in? You gotta be cutthroat.
Yeah, and it's just not in my nature. Anybody that knows me, I mean, I'm definitely convicted with what I believe in, and I can get firm at times, but I'm not a mean person. So, but I also think that's what helped to make and shape how successful I was with real estate,
For
or I
sure.
still am. When I say was, because I'm not really selling so much anymore, but I could get out in front of clients and just really connect. And one of our core values is to be real. I could just be a real
Love
person.
that.
You know, I could just show up as I am and be a real person.
Love
So,
that.
yeah.
I was saying right before you hopped on, you're easily one of like the coolest and nicest team leaders that I know of, and I think like you said, the personality I think always has some of the biggest tells on how people run their business, how they lead their team, and all those things. And by
Thank
the
you.
way, the fax machine one, I love that because I'm technically a geriatric millennial, but I remember actually getting into the industry like 11 years ago and using a fax machine to communicate with brokers on the
Yeah.
daily, and that was just normal. Like
Right.
it's sort of a joke right now, but like I try to remind myself that anytime I'm evolving to try new things like video or trying new things. I mean, at one point I had to jump from a fax machine to like a landline to emails and all that stuff.
Right. I
So
mean, I'm from back in the day where we printed our directions from, and
okay,
we had like the
MapQuest, right?
yeah, like I'm super old, you guys. Like I tell people like I've already lived another life with like my kids and what I did, but yeah, we didn't. So God forbid someone would say, hey, I saw this house over here and I want to go see it off of whatever street. And I already had all my stuff lined up. I'd be like, oh, it's going to like mess up my flow. There was no like Garmin or well, that wasn't even yet like Garmin and all that. Like that was
Yeah,
next and then the phone.
yeah,
So
yeah,
anyways,
yeah.
yeah.
You're not an original gangster unless you remember printing out MapQuest for your
Yes.
showings and
Those
stuff.
were crazy days. Yeah.
So how about I'd love to hear real quick on this one, almost like selfishly on the Park City differences. Because we even talked about like, yeah, I'd love to first of all not only vacation there, but maybe even like a second home there or something. Like, what are some aside from probably the weather?
Yeah.
Is there any like major things that stand out? Maybe even in the real estate world or anything that comes to mind, since having moved or even
Well,
been between both places?
Uh, well, I mean, well, first of all, real estate in Utah is like, I think it's the number one in the states. Like, it's just like
With
taken off.
appreciation and growing.
Oh yeah, everybody's moving there.
Go ahead and share your win, your timing of like the couple of properties out there, if you don't mind.
Oh,
Even just
okay.
roughly, don't even you don't use real like dollar amounts, but like maybe multiples of
A
growth or whatever
percentage.
it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll just use a percentage because I'm not one to kind of rub that
Yeah.
stuff in. But yeah, like I own a piece of land out there on the lake. Anybody that knows Park City, if they know Jordanelle, I purchased land like a year and a half ago, and it's tripled in value. They're doing
In
a lot of
18
cool.
months.
Yeah, in 18 months. In fact, my neighbor is one of the developers down the way, came over the other day and dropped off a Christmas present and was like, "Did you know that the neighbors just sold for X amount?" And I was like, "What?" And so,
Jeez.
it's just a lot of people, I think, are finding that they're wanting to have more space and, location. And Park City's beautiful for any of you guys watching that knows Park City. I also purchased a townhome a couple years ago. Same thing. It's tripled in value. It's
Jeez.
just, I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes
Is
I do
it is
things.
it so is that one of the you think the differences like like I guess I'm curious what's driving that? Like is it like people are kind of moving from cities, they want more space or
Yeah.
they're the lifestyle. Like is that kind of the biggest driver of that? I mean triple digit in a year and a half. That's like
I mean,
insane.
I think a big factor was COVID, right? Like people were like, oh,
Right.
we can, there was actually a couple like right across the way from my townhome that they just rented their house out for, I don't know how many months, 6 months or whatever, maybe it was longer, but they rented the house out. They lived in the Bay Area and they just moved there and they were like, we just wanted to try something different. The kids are on virtual, so why not? So I think a lot of people just decided to venture out and do things that were different,
Yeah.
and they're finding that life can be different in other areas, and it's more simple up there. It's definitely a more simple kind of life. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know,
I
yeah, I
I,
think
I,
it's cool.
I was gonna say I think my wife is watching now. She might be tied up with the baby, but like I know after this she's gonna like we're gonna be searching and just kind of poking around. So it'll probably
Yeah.
start with vacationing at your place
Well,
or
if you
your
need
because you're
any
Airbnb,
help,
right?
yeah, I can tell you some areas up there. It's a great. I know Idaho is another. I don't know. There's just a lot of places that people have been going, and
Yeah.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
I have no plans to move there anytime soon. Eventually, I'd like to build on the land, but I have so many things going on, as you
Yeah.
know, that I don't have time
You
for that.
you like having the best of both worlds, I'm sure too.
I do. I do. I just don't like living in snow for 8 months out of the
Right.
year because I did that.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, small doses. That's how I am. Okay, so we fast forward to your business is thriving, you're crushing, and all that good stuff. But I'm sure it hasn't always been,
No.
just rainbows and roses and easy, smooth times. And so, like, can you maybe? I mean, I was even talking to a billion-dollar team leader the other day, and he was going through his own sort of setbacks and challenges and figuring out how do we kind of like, correct course. What are some things that come to mind for you when like your business faces like a real hard setback and maybe you're overwhelmed in all these different directions? Like what are there any like themes or strategies or just, moves that have come to mind?
Well, I mean, of course, I've lived through, the recession of stuff. So I lived through that. And I mean, I got to a point where I had to sell my own home and I had to live in a rental. And we were down to a couple $1,000s in the bank account.
Wow.
And like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? And I had at that time 4 kids to feed. And I
Yeah,
was the
jeez.
provider, right? So
Jeez. I'm getting
I
goosebumps
feel
right now. That's like
I
a
mean, a lot of people, it's probably a story that a lot of people went through. But the thing
yeah.
is that I had a moment, like a clarity moment, which I've had a lot of these in my life. And I was like, Serri, you're the only one that can fix this. So don't blame it on anything or anybody else. Just like buckle down and fix this. And I ended up just building myself back up. So I don't know if anybody knows about BPOs and those kind of fun things, but what I started doing for like 50 to 75 bucks per BPO, I started doing those, just grinding away. Lo and
Man.
behold, those got
Damn.
me into the REO business. And I
Okay.
ended up doing REOs for banks. And then next thing you know, I'm, doing short sales. Next thing you know, I'm doing them short sales for Redfin, and you can kind of see that trickle effect. And so my mentality is always like, I I'm good with the setbacks. I've had a lot of them in my life because it makes things stronger. So yeah, I
Where
mean,
does that, where do you think that comes from? Was that part of like your upbringing and experiences that you developed either a chip or some grit, or
yeah,
like, is that just always been in your core, or both, or like,
yeah.
where does that come from?
Yeah, I mean, going back to the whole why thing, and I think we've kind of talked about this too, but I think it's important for people to kind of figure out that why. And of course, we can go back to our kids and we can do all that stuff, but to really go back to why. And I can tell you
Mm.
exactly why. It's because, I mean, I had a beautiful life growing up, don't get me wrong, but I lived in apartments, I lived in a bus. I was pregnant at 18, standing at the welfare line going,
Jeez.
oh my gosh, like, why am I here? I, why am I here? I've stood in bread lines. I have done all that stuff. And I just always knew that there was better. And so I literally wake up every day and I don't know exactly why, if that makes sense, but I do
Yeah.
know why. But I get my feet on the floor every day and I go and I charge hard. And I charge hard because I don't ever want to be back in that place ever again.
Yeah,
So
I've heard that that last part you just said. I've heard that a lot from, successful people that do kind of have a little bit of that chip, and I can only imagine. I mean, being a young mother like that has got to be one of the most like almost like life defining moments where I'm sure a lot of people could let that almost set the tone for decades, or that in so many ways I'm sure made you stronger and kind of lifted you up. But
yeah,
I mean, that's crazy impressive, because I think what we touched on in the beginning of this, I think being a female leader in this industry is so rare as it is. I feel like even that requires a certain amount of just like grit and kind of
yeah.
tenacity in
The
order
word
to.
I use is hustle. And I tell
Mhm.
people that everybody has their own version of hustle. And I'm not trying to discount what their version is, but
Right, right.
I can definitely tell you that hustle to me is like get up and go and don't stop till it's done. And don't stop till it's done even better. So I
Yeah.
look at setbacks. I mean, I just had another one that I recently went through that you know about too. And when I got the news that, something could change for us, I was like, oh no, I'm going to figure this out. Like, this is not going to happen. I'm going to make sure this gets fixed.
Yeah.
So
It
that's
wasn't even
just,
like a if or debate in your mind. It
no.
was just kind of like a clear
Yeah.
path.
Yeah.
Which
It's, my
I've
son,
heard crisis. Sorry, real quick. I was gonna say I've heard that sometimes a crisis is when opportunities or innovation is often created
yeah,
the most.
I
That's when
love
people
it.
really buckle down.
Yeah. I love it. I mean, not that I want a whole lot more coming at me, but I do love it
Right?
at the
Yeah.
same time.
Yeah.
But
Careful.
my son in high school, he came home one day and he said, Mom, he was studying like psychology or something like that or whatever it was. And he goes, Mom, he goes, we were sitting at the dinner table and he goes, I just realized that you have OCD. And I go, I sure do. I get like obsessed with stuff. Like it has to be a certain way. It has to be. And
I think
so
we
I
said
think
we bonded on that with the cleaning
we
and stuff,
did.
right?
Yes, we did.
And so it has to be a certain way, and if you feel like it's not going a certain way like that, it almost, I'm sure, focuses all your energy and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, in a good way. So
Right.
in a good way, I think it's good to have all those traits, but yeah, definitely. I've had a wonderful life and I wouldn't change a thing for it, but, all those things come into play, and factor in just the hustle and the drive that it takes. So yeah.
Well, what about this one's one I kind of ask a lot of people, because I think selfishly part of me wants to like know that I'm not crazy or alone, but like hearing that you have five boys, and now that I just had our fourth baby, like give me any sort of life advice on making it all work. And I mean, some like you had mentioned earlier, like sometimes I feel like it really just kind of takes over, whether it's just like trying to balance not only kids and other lifestyle, but work. And you, like you even said kind of in the beginning, there's more to you personally with who you are. So I think
Yeah.
there's this individual side of us that isn't work, it isn't family. So like, how do you find, I guess, that harmony, or sort of blending all that stuff together so that you're actually sustainable, long term?
Um, there's a lot of just scheduling your days. And of course, in real estate, you can get thrown sideways really fast. And same thing with kids. But like when my kids were little, like I wouldn't go to sleep unless my house was totally put back in order because I never wanted to wake up to yesterday's mess.
Ugh.
So That's just what worked for me. I'm telling you,
Same.
I would be vacuuming the floors. I would be, my kids, if my kids are watching this, they're going to be like, yeah, mom has like 5 vacuums in the house. I'm like a vacuumaholic. But like, I guess that's my advice, is you really have to have things in order. And I never wanted to wake up to yesterday's mess. I just wanted to make sure that when I got them in bed, that I could rest peacefully and start a fresh new day. Yeah.
That's totally one for me, that just in the last maybe like 2 years have I really made that like a 7 day a week habit. Like it's the same thing. It's almost, I can't even like kind of relax for the evening
Yeah.
until I know things are like cleared.
Yeah.
And I'll challenge you, maybe one upping you on the vacuum OCD. I recently have been getting, well, no, I'm just one strong Dyson. I probably need a new one, but like where I've really taken things to another potentially unhealthy level is vacuuming the garage. So now I'm like, really
no, that's
into
me.
Like cleaning the outside.
That's me. I'll be out there with I have a vacuum just for the garage, and it's a Dyson. And I'm out there with the garage open thinking my neighbors think I'm nuts, but I'm out there vacuuming my garage floor. Yes, that's me.
It's so satisfying. It's so satisfying. It's nice.
Totally.
Okay, off of vacuums, back onto business. So a couple other questions. What, like, maybe some either predictions, or maybe it's more just like business planning, but 2022, like what's on your mind as a leader going into this new year?
Well, my personal, what's on my mind is we're going to be expanding, and kind of go back to where you started, was I'd like to get my butt up to Utah, and it's been something in the works for a while. I just need to go take that darn test. So, you know, for me, it's like, I feel like we're getting some more traction. I mean, things are always changing. Ask my team. We just changed our CRM. We're, you know, the new RPA just came out today. There's like all these things that are changing. But I feel like we're really going to get to a cruising level next year. We're going to have some great growth. And then it's time for me to really focus on to going to the next place, which I want to go to, is Utah. So that's what I'm
So first of all, that's really cool to actually expand there and be able to, you know, sell homes in both of those markets. That would be really, really exciting.
Yeah. And you know, my
obviously
business,
a lot of potential.
My business has been based on referral companies. So, you know, a lot of the referral companies can take us to several different places, and that's what's exciting. So, yeah, they can help us grow.
Well, then, I mean, I don't want to prematurely say congrats, but I love that. I love that planning, and I love that direction, and the whole like cruising level. I've sort of grown to almost have mixed emotions about it, because I feel like I'm always kind of trying to find that cruise level. But I think I heard this in a podcast that I might be messing this up, but sometimes with businesses, maybe it's certain personalities, but like chaos is the real stability, and stability is more like the anti-growth. So I think it's probably a good thing they got all this stuff going on.
I just want systems at a cruising level. I don't want growth at a cruising level. I just want the systems to be like doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Yep. Totally understand that and can relate.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the last topics I've got here is this theme and this topic of other women leaders, the females that are out there listening, and the other, maybe they're not necessarily a leader, but they're on a team right now, and they're, you know, thinking about their ambition and their long-term growth, and really, like, you know, I'd love to just kind of get maybe a couple minutes of your perspective on how your thoughts have evolved, because again, I'm sure that has changed from when you first got into the industry to now leading a business, and even just, you know, future. But, you know, how do you think about tips or advice to other women in real estate?
To other women? I mean, really, you know, in these day and ages, it really shouldn't be any different if you're a man or a woman with this stuff. I mean, I definitely think that there's been some changes that have helped us to be stronger in what we do. I know that going forward, and we've talked about this, we want to start to provide more support to particularly women. So, you know, whatever business it is that they have, whether it's real estate or, you know, I don't know, just whatever business line they're in. I think it's a great network, because we do have another language that we speak, most of us being moms or not being moms. You still are a woman, right? And so I just feel like it's a language that we can speak to each other, just like real estate is a language that I speak. I almost go places and I don't know how to talk to people unless we're talking about kids or real estate or now golf. Like, I don't know what else to say to people, you know? But I want everyone out there, I could have easily looked at myself and been a teen mom. I was fairly, to myself raising my son, and I could have looked at that and said, you know what, well, down the hill I go. And that's not the case ever for women,
Right.
no matter what. So I'm looking forward to being a support for women, and to be someone that they can look up to and ask questions and grow from. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a really big deal. It's something that when, my first two kids being girls, like it very much changed I guess my view and and just passion around the conversation because I said naively I didn't look at as many of the issues that either affect our industry or outside of the industry as much. And when you think about how many, home shoppers are men and women, it's just very underrepresented at the top in the space. And so I think, when we see people like you, it's inspiring. I think in fact, I know there are people that see you but don't necessarily tell you, and that kind of stuff has long-term impact.
Yeah. I mean, I think women naturally are nurturers because we're the moms, right? Like we grow these babies in our stomach, and so we are the nurturers. And so I think that comes out in what we do in our professions. And in real estate, I know it's been very helpful. I was a very heavy buyer's agent, so I always had a lot of sympathy and nurturing, and it just felt good to people. So
yeah. It's those to me are like some of the best leadership characteristics too. I joke with my wife a lot about, but I feel this in a very serious way. Like she is the CEO, the CFO, she is the COO, like she is the leader of this family, by far. So mad respect to you.
And you're an awesome husband for believing in your wife that way too. So kudos to you too. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, this time flew for me. I want to say thank you. We've got to do like another part 2 soon, maybe on a golf course or something like that.
Yeah, this was easy actually. Leading up to this, I was like, whoa, what am I doing? But this was actually a piece of cake. So you tell me when you want me to do more. Or like I said, I think the plan is we're going to start to get out there and speak to other women and just, see what kind of help we can start providing and things like that. Yeah. So I love it.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we got an exciting year ahead. So thank you so much for the time. Have a great rest of the evening.
Thank you, Connor.
I'll catch
you
later.
Right. Bye.
All right. Peace out. Bye.